Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This one was collected by Time Excitement 668, and they do not have a tagline yet. Originally posted to r/Am I Overreacting by u/DifferentThrow225, January 6, 2025. Am I overreacting? I went on a date and saw my wife calling on his car Bluetooth. I, 28 female, went on a date with a guy, 30 male. We met up, ate breakfast, and hit the road because it's a long drive. Everything was good, we were listening to music and just vibing, and then he gets a phone call. He was driving, so his phone was connected to the Bluetooth, and I can see who was calling. The caller ID said, "My wife," and my stomach dropped. We've been dating and talking for 7 months, and nothing he did gave me any signs of him being married. He didn't pick up and let it go to voicemail. My mood instantly shifts, and he asks what's wrong. I told him I saw who called and that he needed to call them back right now. He was going on about how it was his brother, and I said that's BS because I saw clear as day that it said, "My wife." He goes on his phone and shows me his recent calls, and it says "Big Bro" at the time the call came through. The thing is that when the call came through initially and he let it go to voicemail, I was staring at it in disbelief, and then I looked away because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It's possible he changed the contact name really quickly. I told him again to call the number and he doesn't show me. But he does call someone and I can hear a male voice on the line and we start arguing. He insists he doesn't have a wife and he doesn't know how that happened, etc. We get to the spot and I try to put it past me, but I can't let it go. If he had refused to show me his phone at all, I would have Ubered home. We end up leaving earlier than planned and he keeps trying to explain himself, but I can't forget the image of my wife calling. I told him I needed some space to think about what happened. Am I overreacting or is this a messed up prank? Too long didn't read. I went on a date and saw my wife calling on his car Bluetooth. I confronted him, but he's denying everything and saying it was his brother calling. He apologized, but I don't believe him. Am I overreacting? Top comments, NB KEYZ. Why and how would it be a prank? Have you been to his house? Out with his friends? Some people do put sarcastic or nicknames for certain people in their contacts, but him switching up the contact name would have most likely taken some effort that you would have noticed if you were still sitting next to him. You were right to take some time to yourself. Trust your gut. Okay, Yam 3485 comments. I will add to this. As a married man, I have never saved my wife's contact as my wife. My married friends don't either. It's either her name or a pet name. I'm not saying it's not possible, just very odd. Blonde humanoid. Could it be that he had a missed call from Big Bro just before he picked you up and he erased that call from the log? What I will say real quick is that OP did state that it said Big Bro at the time the call came through, so this commenter's theory was already addressed. Update, February 15th, 2025. After my post, I listened to my gut and took a step back. I told my ex, that I couldn't look at him the same after that road trip and needed space. He kept reaching out with long messages declaring his love, but never actually explained how my wife happened. I took Reddit's advice and did some digging. He's not on social media, but I found him on True People Search. Turns out he really isn't married, which I already suspected. I've dated enough to know when someone's hiding something big, and this didn't feel like that. So I called and asked for the truth. He put Big Bro on the phone who tried to claim the car had somehow saved his contacts, and that's why I saw my wife calling. Total bullshit. When I called it out, Big Bro left the call, and I got into another argument with my ex. I told him I was done and thought that was it. Wrong. He kept sending long messages asking to see me and would keep calling, which I ignored, until he finally said he'd tell me the truth, and at that point, that's all I wanted because I knew that I saw and felt like I was being gaslit. So I called. Y'all, it was a test. There's no wife, no girlfriend, no significant other. He admitted to making it up because I already had been pulling away before all this, and he wanted to see if I really cared. He was crying, saying he didn't mean for it to go this far. Honestly, at this point, feel relieved. I had started to doubt myself, and I was right to trust my instincts, but that did not change anything. I ended things again, and of course he went right back to the long-winded messages, so I blocked him. It's over. I'm done. Moral of the story, always trust your gut. And to answer some questions, no, I've never been to his house because I only do that if I see something going somewhere. Make of that what you will. This isn't the first time he's tested me, so I already had doubts. Yes, I've met Big Bro before, but we weren't close. Turns out he was in on it the whole time. No, this isn't fake. Too long didn't read, it was a test. There was no wife, I ended things. He kept chasing, I blocked him. Always trust your gut. Writing romance. So his end goal was what? If you stayed even though he had a wife, you were the one? Like, what the fuck? OP responds, I honestly don't know. Like, who would stay in that situation, lol? Maybe he had a girlfriend and got caught, maybe he was priming me for cheating, or maybe he just wanted to get rid of me. No clue. He said it was to see if I cared, as if my reaction would somehow prove my feelings for him. It doesn't make any sense, but it's giving manipulative and toxic, and I'm over it. KSM Yas FML. It's called Test and Apologize. I just learned about this myself at 46, lol. Stupid games men play. I recently had to block a guy for testing me. The idea of it being a test actually makes a lot of sense, unfortunately, because I have seen some guys do some pretty stupid quote-unquote tests to test their girlfriend to see if they truly love them. And this does seem like the stupid kind of shit some kind of like Sigma male, alpha male channel bullshit pickup artist, fucking scam artist, piece of shit content creator would post is, if you find a girl that you think that you really love, have a call come in from quote-unquote my wife and see how she reacts. If she truly loves you, she will compete with your wife and show that she loves you most of all. I could see that being some bullshit red pill alpha male channel advice. And don't do that. That's just not a good idea. That's only gonna work on homewreckers, and you don't want to date a homewrecker. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, of course, Satan is not a pogo stick. The original OP is Practical Bell, and this post dates back to April 2nd, 2018. My 36 female husband, 41 male, got fired for harassing a coworker and won't talk to me about it. My husband Charlie and I have been together for 10 years, married for 6. We've had our ups and downs, but are currently in an up. He's never done anything like this in the past, so it came out of left field for me, and I'm very much shocked and at a loss here. Charlie's a computer programmer and was a senior engineer at his former company, where he had worked for 4 years. He'd never had any trouble with coworkers, and we're both friendly with a few of them, mostly other men and their wives. On Friday of last week, he came home around 11 a.m. and told me he'd been fired. He was really upset and agitated, and I didn't want to push him about it. But he told me that they'd said he was harassing a coworker and was fired. The information I've been able to get out of him. The coworker is Beth, a junior engineer who he's never mentioned to me before. He said she's terrible at her job. Beth slept with a senior engineer we are both friendly with, Darren. Darren wasn't involved in the harassment, wasn't fired, etc. The company's lawyers were there, and among the things they told him was that Beth could have pressed charges but chose not to. Something happened with her car, but they won't say what. His exact words were, there was something with her car. He was escorted off the premise and is not allowed back in the building to get his belongings, and instead has to arrange with security to pick them up after business hours. Holy fuck, what did this guy do? As far as anything else goes, he won't give me any details. He isn't interested in seeing a lawyer because he says everything is legal. He has basically admitted to sending Beth some emails, but won't say what they said or anything like that. I don't know if Beth sleeping with Darren had to do with it, but the fact that he gave me that detail makes me think it does. I'm not sure how it relates, as Darren is a very nice single man who's in his late 20s and approximately the same age as Beth. My mind is running wild here. Charlie has been depressed and withdrawn all weekend, won't talk to me about it, and won't talk much in general. I work remotely, so I was home all day with him, and he played video games all day and then went to bed at 6 p.m. The fact that he won't tell me anything and isn't interested in seeing a lawyer makes me think that it's bad, and makes me worry that everything is true and not just a misunderstanding or a small thing blown out of proportion. He's never been flirtatious with other women or cruel to them, and he's never said anything bad about other women engineers he works with. I don't know what to do here. My instinct is to be supportive of my husband, but I don't know what kind of behavior I'd be supporting. I don't want to run to his coworkers we know and ask them, since they're more our friends than my friends, and while we spend time together at get-togethers or bars, I'm not close with them. In an immediate sense, I don't know what to do about helping someone who is so depressed and won't talk to me. Too long didn't read, my husband was fired for harassing a coworker and refuses to give me any details or talk at all since Friday. Top comments. Clever account name 13. I would tell him you have to assume the worst if he won't be honest with you. I've gotta say he must have done bad shit to be escorted off the premise with no warning like that. Either he was hating on her and went over the top, or he tried to fuck her and went over the top, or he tried to fuck her and then hated on her. Edit reread, I'm guessing he tried to fuck her, send crazy emails, and vandalize the car. He could easily still be charged criminally and or sued. RS 1 million! I've worked at larger companies, and when they fire people, sometimes they are walked right out of the building. The reasoning is they don't want the fired person to make a scene and rock the boat. It's heartless in my opinion, but it does happen. Something tells me OP's husband did something terrible because lawyers were there, and apparently the girl could have pressed charges. That is very unusual. My guess is OP's husband got jealous that Darren was sleeping with Beth and not him, as he had a crush on Beth for a while and he flipped out and went all nice guy on her. He mentioned there are emails, so there is evidence in writing as well. This does not bode well for OP. Mind your business, comments. Seeing as it got so far that he's been fired and he doesn't want to fight it, sounds like the allegations are probably true. The fact that he brings up Darren makes it seem like he's harassed her as a result of sexual jealousy. Does he usually shut down conversation on things? Does he usually keep things from you? I'd be very cautious about what he's hiding and what it means for you and your relationship. Even if it's not sexual and it's just plain old harassment, do you want to be with a grown man who harasses young women to the point he gets fired? Update, April 3rd, 2018, the next day. My thread was locked before I was able to respond to any of the comments, but I was able to read them this morning. I got up at 5:30 to go to the gym before work, and my husband was still awake playing video games. I presented him with the very good idea someone suggested of sending me an email with the details, but that it wasn't acceptable to shut me out of this situation, since it affects me too. His response was basically, the paperwork is in my car, go get it if you want to read it. I asked him to go get it so we could look at it together, and he said, you're going to believe what you want anyway. All of this is unusual for our marriage because I'm a pretty patient person. I think. We went out to the car together and he got in his car, handed me the papers, and left. For about 2 hours, I was panicked because I didn't know where he went, if he was okay, if he was thinking of hurting himself, but his mother texted me at 9 saying he was over there, asking me what happened, if everything is okay, etc. His parents live about 15 minutes away, and I guess he told her he's going to be staying there. So, the paperwork. According to the paperwork, he sent her multiple harassing emails from anonymous email accounts. The emails are printed out and attached. He apparently did this while at work, and they have been monitoring his user account for 3 months. The emails aren't sexual or romantic in nature and are all anonymous about how she sucks at her job, wouldn't be there if she wasn't a woman, how she should quit before she gets fired, and how everyone in the office hates her. He made fake user accounts for his company's product that she works on and submitted bad reviews of her work. He also did this while logged in at work. He sent an anonymous email to her boss saying that she was sleeping with a senior engineer on another project. He put a gun catalog on the windshield of her car. I don't know what this gesture means, but I obviously understand that it was meant to be threatening. Unfortunately, inside was a subscription card that the company auto-filled with his name and address. She also says she has been harassed for the same length of time, about 3 months on Twitter. He only logged into one Twitter account that harassed her at work, so they can only say one was him, all telling her to quit her job. So, I don't know what to do now. This is all terrifying to me, and I feel so bad for this woman. I have no idea what this is all about. He works with other women engineers, and he's worked with male engineers who don't pull their weight, and he's never done anything like this. I would have bet $1 million that he'd never do anything like this. He's at his parents' right now, and I don't know what my next move here could possibly be. This is so scary and out of left field for me. Too long didn't read. My husband definitely harassed his coworker for 3 months. Relevant comments. OP added in the comments. I forgot to mention this paperwork is copied from the original and was signed by both him and his company. I don't know if that's a full admission, but it seems damning either way. Chameleon commented, time to sit your husband down and give an ultimatum. He needs to give you his side of the story, or you two are done. There is clearly a Jekyll and Hyde thing going on. Jack Not Name comments, your husband needs serious therapy. What you described is absolutely abhorrent behavior. If he's unwilling to get help about this or do anything to convince you that he understands how wrong what he did is, you should seriously consider getting as far away from this man as you can. What he did is evil. This might be out of character for me and I might be overstepping here, so feel free to call me in the comments if I am. Unlike someone who's in their 20s and still trying to grasp any kind of problems or trauma they may have experienced as a kid that could lead to outbursts like these or, just this kind of behavior, a 41-year-old man who has been dealing with this his entire life has gotten really good at masking, and he would probably be able to mask his way through therapy and seem like he's doing better when in all honesty, he's just going through the motions to make his wife happy. I don't think you could realistically expect him to make any progress towards fixing this. I mean, he would have to admit what he did was wrong. And considering his comments about you're going to believe what you want anyway, instead of sitting down and having an actual conversation with his wife and taking accountability, says a lot about how he views the situation. One of the biggest complications with the creation of the internet is the veil of anonymity that's given to each user. You're able to do some pretty heinous stuff and never see any repercussions for it because you're doing it behind a screen. You can get away with it. You can say whatever you want and not have to see how it affects the person that you're talking to. Not have to see their emotions. Not have to see what that kind of damage could do to them. Every step and decision that OP made was done because he thought he'd never be caught. I mean, the gun magazine being left was most certainly a threat, and he probably never realized that his information was placed in the magazine. So he thought he could just drop it off and get away with it. No one would get the cops involved and fingerprint it. They'd probably just throw it away and she'd be extra paranoid. It is a little embarrassing though that he's a senior developer and didn't understand that his company definitely had the tools in place to track his every motion and see what he was up to. So that's definitely a massive blunder on his part. And honestly, just because, familiarity with the internet, and I've definitely seen my fair share of this, the fact that he was so detailed and meticulous with the alt accounts and everything that he was doing, this wasn't his first time fucking with someone and trying to cause this much grief and anguish in their day-to-day life, both in work and outside of it. And unfortunately, there's no updates after this. We don't know what she did after the 7 years that have gone by. Good God, it's been 7 fucking years since 2018. Ugh. But yeah, we don't have any updates. We don't know how this went. She could have divorced him and just never bothered to update, or was too embarrassed to update because she let an excuse of his slide and didn't want to undo 10 years of marriage. I can only hope the best for OP, but in general, for everyone listening here, keep in mind that if someone is willing to inflict this level of cruelty to someone just because they have the veil of anonymity, that is a massive red flag. It's a great sign of what kind of person they truly are. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, of course, Satan is not a pogo stick. The original poster is YakelC2409, posted to r/relationship advice May 29th, 2023. My, female 19, boyfriend's, male 26, brother, 32, is getting creepy, and my boyfriend won't stop him. Plus a 2-year update. So me and my boyfriend have been dating for about 4 months now. We were long-distance friends for a month before we started dating. We started dating after I moved to his state. His family knew about me before we started dating, and he would occasionally hype me up to his family and show them pictures of me, with my consent. I finally got introduced to his family at a family barbecue. They're a bunch of fun people, they drink a lot, but they're fun. However, his brother got a bit too wasted at the barbecue. Me, my boyfriend, and him are sitting and drinking on the porch while everyone else is in the yard playing and dancing. He, out of nowhere, asks, "Hey, did you ever send him a tit pic?" "You should have." My boyfriend just kinda brushes him off, being like, come on, leave her alone. But I'm really uncomfortable that he asked that around the rest of the family. I nervously laugh and ask him, "What? Why would you ask me that?" Apparently my boyfriend had said something along the lines of, "She's got a hot body." to his family while talking about me. I didn't want to be around either of them at the moment, so I got up and went to join his family in the yard. Hyping up my job, personality, or stuff like that is fine, but it feels a bit weird to hype up my hot body to his family. After I went to the yard, that was the end of the convo. Later that night, I tried to bring up to my boyfriend that I was uncomfortable with his brother and also ask him about how he's been talking about me to his family. He says he's too tired and to chill out, you're taking it a bit too serious. I don't bring it up again. Fast forward to the next time we're all together again, and his brother is acting weird once more. My boyfriend and his dad are doing karaoke while his mom and sister are getting the food ready. I'm sitting on the couch, holding my boyfriend's little nephew on my lap. His brother stops singing and plops down next to me. I'm a bit surprised and a little scared by the way he sat down. I try to ignore him, but I suddenly feel a hand rubbing my waist. I whip my head to see that it's his hand. I'm stuck frozen for some reason and ask him what he's doing. He says he was just looking for my phone, take it easy. I scoot away from him on the couch and avoid him for the rest of the night. Later on, I try to tell my boyfriend what happened. He says that it was probably an accident. He's not that type of guy, that he's just been acting a bit weird since he lost his job, and to not pay him too much attention. At this point, I'm confused on what I'm supposed to do. I want to hang out with my boyfriend's family, but I don't like the way his brother behaves. I can't tell if I'm overreacting, like my boyfriend is saying, or if his brother is making a move. Relevant comments. Girl in red costume. I just read a post yesterday about a girl who was assaulted by her boyfriend's buddy after she repeatedly told him his friend was a creep and inappropriate towards her. For your boyfriend, this situation is no big deal. For you, it's a matter of safety. Also, your boyfriend's behavior is very concerning. No dude that cares about their significant other will objectify them the way that your boyfriend is doing to you. There's also the age gap issue. It's pretty common in those relationships for the dude to say you're overreacting and make you feel insecure of your own opinion so he can have his way. This dude and his brother are bad news. OP responds, I've heard about problems with age gap relationships. I just thought he might have been different. The more I read the comments, the more I feel like he's not as different as I thought. Sad face. Girl in red costume responds to that. A good boyfriend would listen to your concerns, validate your feelings, and call out his brother's behavior. Don't go near his brother again. He's already escalating his verbal abuse to touching. The odds are, it's gonna get worse. Magic Carpet 5846 comments, I take it your boyfriend has said some disturbing things about you to his brother that made him think his comment would be okay with your boyfriend. And judging by your boyfriend's lack of reaction, he was fine with it. Can't imagine I would ever be okay with my sibling speaking to or about my partner in such a way, and my response would not be as kind as your boyfriend's. OP responds, that's really the only reason I can think of that would warrant him making comments like that. A general update before the 2-year update. Update. I took some time to really take the comments to heart and try to understand what everyone has been saying. I think I really underestimated dating an older guy. This whole thing has been draining and I feel gross about them. I don't think I can deal with him and his brother, and I realize now, after really hearing you guys out, that it's probably best to just break up with him. Update, February 21st, 2025, 2 years later. Here is the link to my original post. So, I'm not sure if anyone cares since it's been a year, but I just wanted to write an update. So, I'm 20. I told my aunt about how my boyfriend and his brother were behaving, and boy did she go mama bear mode, and rightfully so. She ended up getting me to join some women's support groups. My now ex-boyfriend did go ballistic when I broke up with him. He showed up on campus and yelled at me, saying I was an ungrateful bitch, and that all I was good for was being an easy piece of ass. He did get removed from campus grounds for starting a scene, but it was just embarrassing. People heard and saw it, and I didn't know how to react until someone stepped in. I haven't dated since the last situation with my creepy boyfriend, and maybe I'm just a bit paranoid of it happening again. I've learned a lot about healthy relationships from the support groups, but I just worry that I'll find myself on the bad end of another relationship. Recently, a classmate of mine asked me out, and he's a really nice guy. Also, this time, no huge age gap. We studied together and occasionally hang out. He's been pretty helpful whenever I don't understand something. I did reject going out with him. I told him I wasn't ready to start dating again yet, And he respected that and hasn't made any moves on me or anything. But I also thought my last boyfriend was nice, and he turned out to be a low-key predator. I don't want to be paranoid and fearful of dating, but I also don't want to occasionally put myself in another situation. How do I handle this? Relevant comments. Crag hack. If possible, get therapy to help deal with the trauma. Unfortunately, no one can ever guarantee you a non-toxic relationship, but the fact that a guy asking you out respected your no is a great sign that he might be a good guy. That doesn't mean that you should start to date him, but if you ask him for a date as friends and talk about why, it could help with your hesitation. But most importantly, don't rush to date. You're 20. You have a lot of time to date later. OP responds, "Thank you. I do think I want to give it a try with him. I'll try to work up the courage to let him know the reason of why I'm a bit hesitant." Explaining the mess that OP got caught up with the guy that she's interested in is definitely probably a decent choice, especially if they do it over a friend date so he can understand of like, yeah, I do have a bit of an interest with you, but due to past complications I've had with previous exes, I'm definitely hesitant to jump feet first into a relationship. But I am glad that OP got out of that situation because the vibes were definitely not there, and it sounds like she's been very cautious, has been in support groups, and she could definitely probably use a little bit of therapy to just kind of help her comprehend that, hey, what happened was just an asshole guy who took advantage of you, and most guys aren't like this, and this is just gross behavior from someone who had no respect for you and probably thought that you were just an easy find. Judging by the timeline here, it sounds like that OP probably met her boyfriend when she was 18. I tend to avoid using this word because it has serious implications, but I do believe that OP was more than likely groomed by her previous ex, and kind of dragged into that situation without realizing what she was getting herself into. Fortunately, it does seem that she's walked herself into a healthier position in life, and hopefully that can continue. But just as some general advice, if you're ever in a relationship and your partner is either subjecting you to or allowing you to be subjected to something that makes you incredibly uncomfortable and doesn't listen to your concerns, then that's a pretty massive red flag, and you might want to reevaluate that relationship or have a serious conversation with them about your actual concerns. If they ever just outright dismiss your concerns as you're overreacting and don't even at least try to get to the root of why you may be uncomfortable with something, they're not a good partner. Even if they find your reaction unreasonable, they should be willing to listen to why it makes you uncomfortable and have that conversation, understand your side of it, and help you whether work past it or help you set up proper boundaries so that way you are safely secure in the relationship. They should not just be telling you to ignore it or get over it or just outright telling you that you're overreacting over something ridiculous. Communication is key, and what OP's boyfriend did originally was stonewalling communication and just simply ignoring her. Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget this whole thing is basically brought to you by GamerSupps. If you like caffeine, then I can't recommend GamerSupps enough. Use code Oz at checkout to support the channel. And I do actually use this product. It's replaced all other sources of caffeine for me because I feel good. It doesn't have any of that extra stuff that a pre-workout blend might have. It's with a couple of the extra things to make it so you don't crash as hard. It's good. I like it. Personally, if you really want a good flavor, try the Soda Pressing Pear or even the Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are my personal favorites right now.